This talk is about a puzzle concerning reasons for contributing to collective benefits. And the puzzle has a familiar illustration in the case drops of water. In this case, you and 1,000 others can each spare a pint of water, while 1,000 people are badly dehydrated. If donated for rehydration purposes, the content of a pint goes into one big container that is then moved to the side of those dehydrated, where its contents are distributed equally among them. Now, notice two aspects of this case. On the one hand, your donation will only result in those dehydrated getting 1,000th of a pint more than they would otherwise get. This, one might think, makes no significant difference to the life of any one of them. On the other hand, it seems that you have reason to donate your pint because that would be contributing towards the end of improving the lives of the dehydrated. And those dehydrated are likely to benefit considerably from what they end up getting if people donate the pints. So the puzzle, in a nutshell, is that in cases like drops of water, there seems to be teleological reasons for individual mere contributions to the realization of a relevant end. In this case, rehydration. Now, by teleological reasons, I mean reasons that are identified as such in instrumental reasoning guided by a particular end. By a mere contribution to the realization of an end, I mean a contribution to that realization, that is something that's part of why it came about, that made no significant difference to that realization. So what makes teleological reasons for individual mere contributions to the realization of relevant ends puzzling is that paradigmatic cases of teleological reasons involve the idea that agent can significantly increase the extent to which the relevant end is realized, or the likelihood that it's realized to a significantly higher extent. But no such increase comes from mere contributions. Notice that the question here concerns the seeming teleological reasons. There might be other reasons to contribute out of solidarity with others, you might say, but these are not our concern here. Also notice this. Arguably, while the difference made to any one dehydrated person is individually insignificant, 1,000 such differences resulting from one pint are collectively significant. Still, the intuitive sense that one has a reason to contribute to the relevant end in a case like drops of water does not seem to be the sense that one would make things better by a multitude of individually insignificant improvements. That intuitive sense remains to be explained. Moreover, your reason to contribute in drops of water would stand even if you knew that someone else, call them backup, will donate a pint if and only if you don't, thus ensuring that you won't affect the amount of water. Now, the puzzle exemplified by drops of water recurs in numerous other cases. For example, actions and omissions aimed at preventing climate catastrophe might make individually insignificant differences to the expected values of each of billions of lives, say. Still, it seems that we might have teleological reasons to take those actions or to omit certain kinds of actions to contribute towards climate catastrophe prevention. The main aim of this talk is to argue that solutions to the puzzle that appeal to collective behavior fail. To this end, I raise problems for such solutions and sketch an alternative solution, appealing to instinctual attraction or aversion to contributions to benefits or harms, respectively, whether these involve a multitude of agents or not. So turn now to collectivity-based solutions to the puzzle. Notably, in drops of water, the collective stands in paradigmatic teleological relations to the end of rehydration. If enough individuals contribute, this affects the likelihoods that end is realized to various degrees. The more people contribute, the better things will be for the dehydrated individuals. Now, one might naturally think that that's the source of the individual's teleological reasons, and so endorse something like group contribution, which is that if the collective behavior of a group can significantly promote an important end, individual members have a reason to contribute to that behavior, a reason that's independent of whether they will thereby individually significantly affect the extent to which the end is realized, or the likelihood that it's realized to a higher extent. Now, I find a principle like this intuitively appealing. Reasons to contribute to collective behavior with good outcomes are naturally understood as reasons to help bring about those outcomes, as Julia Nefsky expresses. Such reasons seem teleological without being directly sensitive to how the contributions affect the outcome. So it's a promising idea, but there are problems. Now, the first problem is that collectivity-based solutions do not make clear sense of the teleological nature of the individual's reasons, in spite of what I just said. Mere contributions are not understood as significantly affecting the likelihoods of the degrees of realization of the end. Why then would they be selected by individual instrumental reasoning concerned with the end? The second problem is that we have the same teleological reasons for mere contributions in cases that do not involve groups and their actions. Consider solitary drops of water, a variation of our initial case. Here, there is a container rolling on a track towards the dehydrated 1,000 people. You can add a pint of water to its contents as it rolls by. The likelihood that it will contain various amounts of water when reaching its destination is the same as for the container in drops of water. But here the contents are not due to the possible intervention of other agents that donate water, but instead to the small waterfalls that the train passes through on its way to the dehydrated 1,000. Now, in this case, you seem to have the same teleological reason to contribute as in drops of water. There's another source here, the waterfalls, previously other agents, that will provide some water that will help rehydration. You might not know exactly how much, but likely quite a lot. And you can add to that amount by donating your pint. The structure seems to be the same and the teleological reason the same. But if this is right, collectivity doesn't matter. A third problem for the collectivity-based solution to the puzzle is that contributions to effective group action sometimes seem to count for nil. So consider such a case, 30 drops of water. Just like drops of water, but with a backup present, your donation would make no difference to the amount of water reaching the dehydrated. No difference at all. In addition, there is a very low risk that your pint in particular contains a substance that, while non-toxic, will give a foul taste to all water in a container and make rehydration quite unpleasant. Now, suppose that the risk is low enough for its elimination to be worth only the most trivial effort. It's worth something, but not a great deal, just enough to be worth the most trivial effort. Still, eliminating that risk by not donating would seemingly outweigh any teleological reason to donate in this case. But if the reason to donate is outweighed by the smallest significant reason against, it seems that the reason to donate count for nil. So these were three difficulties for the collectivity-based solution to the puzzle. Now, the promise of collectivity-based solutions was to ground individuals' teleological reason in teleological relations at the collective level. Unfortunately, this left the teleological relevance of these reasons for the individuals partly unexplained. And it didn't explain the teleological reasons in solitary drops of water, or the absence of such reasons in dirty drops of water. But what alternative explanations might we have of the teleological individuals' teleological reasons? Here I'll sketch a version of an account that I developed elsewhere. The key idea of the account concerns the nature of instrumental reasoning. Now, instrumental reasoning is guided by what we value or find important or care about. And concern with various values can lead to complex considerations of the extent to which these various options realize the values at stake, and to the pursuit of the overall best option, weighing the different degrees of realization of these values in these different options. However, simpler instrumental reasoning typically precedes such sophisticated overall assessments of options. And it's initially guided by our pre-reflective attraction to actions that saliently contribute to processes leading to good outcomes, and aversion to salient contributions to processes leading to bad outcomes. That's the suggestion. So there's a primitive kind of instrumental reasoning that precedes the comparison of overall outcomes. So apply this idea to our cases. First, our sense that we have reasons to contribute in drops of water and solitary drops of water is responsive to a fact that's relevant to ordinary instrumental individual reasoning. The fact that donating would likely contribute to a process leading to something good. This is what we identify as a reason for donating. So the account, it seems, tracks what's intuitively, I think, the reason to donate in a case like this. Now, as our understanding of a given option changes, however, our pre-reflective representation of the process also changes and might be abandoned for a more reflective and complex consideration and representation. In considering donating to dirty drops of water out of a concern for the well-being of the dehydrated, the aversion to contributing to a process leading to bad outcomes for the dehydrated prompts consideration of the option of not donating. And the fact that donating might now make a significant difference to the well-being prompts a comparison of the option of the options and their outcomes in relation to that end, the end of the well-being of the dehydrated. And in that comparison, in the comparison between the options and the outcomes of the options, we see no significant benefit in rehydration with the donation option. The donation thus now seems to count for nil in this comparison. But we do see potential for significant drawback because of the substance, the found substance. So the account seems to explain why the reason to donate goes away in a case like dirty drops of water, where the contribution to a collective action to a larger action that provides a benefit competes with a harmful process initiated by the same action. But dirty drops of water is different from cases where the prospect of donating is weighed against personal advantage of not donating, say because water is refreshing and you want to keep it to be refreshed. In such cases, the salient relation to the well-being of the dehydrated is still that donating contributes to their rehydration. It's still the sense that I contribute to a positive process. That relation is not itself one of complex comparison, and the attraction in relation to that value thus remains and competes with the attraction of the other value, my refreshment. Finally, the attraction aversion proposal explains why it's hard to say what weight these reasons to contribute have. Attraction aversion-based reasons are dependent on our way of saliently representing the relation between a certain value and some option or options. A salient contribution relation might yield strong attraction, but in overall comparisons of outcomes, it might instead disappear entirely. So it's hard to say in general what weight this reason has. It only has a reason in relation to a way of representing the case. So the account, I think, explains some data in a nice way. But the last point might give rise to an objection. So I've claimed that the fact that some action saliently contributes to a process leading to something good is a reason for it. However, because the attraction disappears when we engage in more sophisticated comparisons of outcomes, this reason, one might think, is merely apparent. It goes away when we think more carefully. The impression that there is a reason goes away when we think more carefully and systematically about the case. The reply is this: the proposed reason is a fact that instrumental reasoning is responsive to when functioning well under normal circumstances, when tracking the stuff that it's supposed to track. That these reasons disappear when we turn to more sophisticated reasoning does not mean that they are not real. They are real and the sort of things that instrumental reasoning is supposed to track. But it means that they are relative to a reflective stance. In this, though, they're not unique. The same goes for evidence-relative reasons. Evidence-relative reasons are relative to access to certain kinds of evidence, to an epistemic situation. But they are real. The same, I think we can say, about the kinds of instrumental reasons that I've identified that can provide reasons for contributing to collective benefits, even when the contribution is a mere contribution. Thanks for listening, and I'm looking forward to your comments.